My call's more of a general question, and that is that I'm looking to transition to retirement in relation to work. I've got 2 investment properties already, and I've got a small portfolio of shares worth about $50,000. But what I'm looking for is a recommendation from you guys in terms of companies that offer a DRP, because I think to myself that I'm not too concerned about the income in terms of getting the dividends, but I'd rather just sort of build up on the shares themselves, and so when I do finally retire, I can just sort of basically cash them in.
Get some growth assets. When do you think you'll be retiring? How long till retirement?
Well, I want to transition hopefully next year and probably retire probably within the next 6 to 7 years.
Right.
Maybe 8 at the maximum.
The man on my left is clearly the expert, because I'd have absolutely no idea, but I will pass it over to you, Beautiful. Craig. You can pass it on to me.
Yeah.
That's a good question, because it's all about education. He's taking the advance 6 to 7 years, and so, John, great question, but let's see if we have a great answer.
What I like about John's question is the fact there is 6 years to go.
Yeah.
So we would sit down with someone like yourself, John, and we would look at, okay, what are your current asset levels like now? What kind of lifestyle do you have now? What kind of lifestyle do you think do you want to have in 6 or 7 years' time? And make sure that the construction of the assets in 6 to 7 years' time reflect the income that John wants to earn. Right. Because what often happens when people are in their growth accumulation phase, they're in their 50s and 40s, they have a lot of assets like properties and things that don't produce a lot of income because they don't need income. But when they get over into retirement, that's when they need income. And you want to make sure that you don't get to the day of retirement and having to sell everything. Because what if the markets are down in whatever assets you own?
So, though you don't have all of John's details, would you think that with what you're seeing in the property market, the absolute is going for it, that it might be better if he's got 2 to look at selling 1 and take advantage of the cash? Or do you think that's, too strategic?
So what we would do is we would say, let's look at the property portfolio that they've got. We would bring in one of our property external partners to provide advice to John about which properties are good to keep and which ones aren't in terms of the future. And then once we determine that, let's say one was to be sold, we'd then put together, construct a portfolio on what John should have, so that over the next 6 years he'll be ready for retirement.